Welcome back to the Sports on the Bay podcast, where we highlight the people, programs, and ideas shaping youth sports and active families right here in our community. Today, we're diving into a sport that may be a little less visible in Anne Arundel County, but has an incredibly strong and growing presence: youth hockey. I'm joined by Zach Arden, who has seen the game from every angle as a player, a coach, and now a leader helping grow the sport locally. Currently, he serves as president of hockey operations at Navy Youth Hockey and head coach at South River High School. Previously, he has been involved in youth hockey development with the Washington Capitals and coached at Team Maryland, Tri City Eagles, and DC Selects. As a player, he came through Montgomery Blue Devils, Tri City Eagles, Team Maryland, DC Caps, and Churchill High School before continuing his career with the Rochester Junior Americans, Skidmore College, and the University of Maryland. This is someone who truly understands the full pathway of the sport and what it takes to build something meaningful for the next generation. Welcome, Zach. We're really glad you're here.
Thank you, Hope. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Your podcast has been awesome to listen to and follow, and I think it's doing great things for the youth sports community in Anne Arundel County.
Great. Awesome. Well, to start, I think everyone just a little bit about your background. I'd love to go back to the beginning, understand how all of this got started. I know I don't even really fully appreciate probably the whole Navy youth hockey evolution. And so maybe you could just give us a little bit about where the program started and kind of where it is today.
Yes, Navy started well before me. I think the original name of Navy Youth Hockey was Benfield Hockey Club. There used to be a rink in Benfield. There's not anymore, but there used to be. And that's how Navy Youth Hockey started. Probably in the early 20s, that's when the new facility opened, the Brigade Sports Complex, which is right by the Naval Academy golf course, if you've ever been there. And from there, the program kind of grew and grew. And then I took over in 2020. We were at about 200 kids, maybe 175. We've grown a ton in the past 6 years. We were over 475 last year. We'll get over 500 this year. So the program's grown tremendously in the past 5-6 years, and it's I think shows how much hockey's growing in this area as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What led you into coaching and eventually wanting to take on this leadership role?
Yeah, I would say so. Going just back a little bit, I played hockey throughout my whole life. I graduated from college and I still wanted to stay involved in the game. And from there, I started coaching immediately. I was also working for the Washington Capitals in their youth hockey development department
Mhm.
while coaching, just volunteering my time coaching. And then COVID happened. And while COVID was happening, I was giving private lessons to kids. And a lot of those kids ended up being from this area because I wasn't living out here. I was living actually in the DC area, in DC. From there, one thing led to another, and I ended up sort of here. And I would say that leadership role kind of came as a result of being invested in the kids in this area and just trying to do things the right way and trying to create kind of a better overall experience for our players and our families.
Absolutely. So, for families who might be listening who are completely new to hockey, may not know much about it or where to even get started, can you just talk about if you're a beginner family, what does the program offer, the accessibility of it all? I know that it has a lot of gear that could maybe just overwhelm families to even think about. I get overwhelmed with lacrosse with that. I'm like, oh my God, we have
Yeah.
to buy all this stuff. So, can you just speak to the entryway pathway to getting into the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'll start by saying one of the things that helps us is hockey isn't the most common sport here. It's certainly growing, but it's not the most
Hmm.
common. So I believe that actually creates opportunity because now we're getting a lot of multi-sport athletes and families who are kind of new to the game.
Hmm.
And that, in my opinion, it keeps the environment really, really fresh and less pressured than other youth sports, which I think is awesome. And I think
Hmm.
it benefits us tremendously. And to start, the most important thing is people think that you have to be like the best skater ever to start playing hockey, and that's really not the case.
Hmm.
We take kids who have never been on the ice before in their life, and we put them in learn to play, and then we've continued to grow the learn to play program, and that's in partnership with the Washington Capitals. So if I could talk briefly about that learn to play program, because that's been huge for us in
Hmm.
growing the game locally. So this is in partnership with the Washington Capitals and with the NHL. It was probably about 10 years ago, the NHL realized that we needed to bring more newer families into hockey that either didn't know about it or where accessibility was kind of an issue. And so what Learn to Play is you sign up for 8 sessions at, let's say you sign up for 8 sessions at Navy
Hmm.
run by our program. You get gear, 8 sessions, and a program that's led by, myself and our coaches for only $279.
Hmm.
That includes the gear, which is a pretty awesome deal. And then from there, we find like once you're sort of in the program, once you've started to you've done a few sessions, we
Hmm.
retain over 60% of our Learn to Play kids.
That's
So
amazing.
the way we started, it truly is Learn to Play. So it's that Learn to Play, and we've got ages from as young we've had ages as young as 4 up to 10, 11 years old that do it, and that's been huge for us.
That's great.
And
So
I
is
think
it,
it's certainly lowered the barriers to entry there too.
yeah, absolutely. Is it similar to other sports where there's a rec pathway and then a travel?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I'll walk you through what our program pathway looks like, starting with Learn to Play.
Hmm.
A little bit depends on the age, but let's say everyone, if it's your first time trying hockey, you're going into our Learn to Play program. So that's number one. And Learn to Play, like I said, is ages. It ranges in age. From Learn to Play, we have something called Rookie League, and now Rookie League, it's not team play yet. You're not on a team, but it's sort of a progression of Learn to Play.
Hmm.
Then from Rookie League, that's when you either are now joining what's called our MITE program. So this is where it depends on your age. So mites is 8U and younger. So 5, 6, 7, 8 year olds are in mites. And mites is everything for the most part is in house. You're on smaller teams, teams of 10 kids ish, but everything is in house for the most part. You'll play games against other clubs, but
Hmm.
they're not full ice games. No, there's no standings. The kids are keeping score, right? But
Hmm.
it's not the most pressure, and it's still a focus on skill development, making sure that you're getting ice touches. If you graduated from Rookie League and you're not of might age, let's say you're 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, then we have
Hmm.
something called either Hockey Academy. So Hockey Academy is our rec program.
Hmm.
Or if you want to try travel, there's also travel. In theory, you would go Learn to Play Rookie League, Mites, or Hockey Academy, and then you would go to travel. And Hockey Academy is that rec model where it's
Hmm.
almost entirely skill based. We're not playing games at all until at least halfway through the season. There's no games. There might be in-house games, or there's no official games. We don't have refs. It's still a focus on development and making sure you're really working on the important skills in order to be able to play in those games.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and from the timing perspective, the true season, when is typically your learn to play programs during the year?
Yeah, so we have 3 Learn to Play programs. Our first Learn to Play programs in the fall starts usually the weekend after Labor Day. Runs for 8 weeks. Second Learn to Play programs in the we call it our Winter Learn to Play, and that's
Hmm.
November and December. It's always finished before the winter break, before the Christmas holiday. And then we have a Spring Learn to Play, which starts after our season ends
Hmm.
in March. And in the spring, something cool that we have is we have our normal Learn to Play, which is co-ed, boys and girls. And then we have an all girls spring Learn to Play as well. And this past season, we had introduced the game to over 125 kids through our Learn to Play program. And in our all girls program, we had over 20 girls, which was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome. It sounds like you have a strong girls program. I know a couple girls who are actually in it from our school who've had a lot of success. Is that continuing to grow? Are you continuing to push that side of the sport? We want to be
Yeah.
doing more of it, and it's awesome. And being able to access it at a younger age is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say definitely. There's been a commitment the past few years to sort of building it, I would say, the right way, trying to create the right opportunities, providing a supportive environment, and hopefully families are seeing that and kind of buying into it. It all comes down to ice time ultimately. We have 2 12U girls teams, which is meant as a supplement to your co-ed team. So all the girls on our 12U girls teams also play on a co-ed team. And then we have a 14U girls team. That's your full team. You're not playing on a co-ed team. And then a 19U girls team as well, which is similar to that 14U girls team, where you're not playing on a co-ed team. You're just fully playing girls. So one thing about hockey is I'm a strong believer that we want to make sure that because under 12, there's no checking at all.
Hmm.
So there's body contact, certainly, but there's no checking. So we try to do our best to make sure that we provide that girls option for girls to play with girls, but they also play with boys too. So they're
Okay.
developed, they have the option to play with girls, but then they also play with boys. It helps with the development piece, I think, a lot for all the families. And it's important to see that too.
Yeah. So zooming out a bit, you've obviously been playing hockey almost all your life, and you've probably seen the evolution of the hockey world, but also just youth sports in general today. What are you noticing from, I guess you could speak specifically to hockey, but also, I mean, you're in the youth sports space. There's a lot of specialization, there's a lot of injury prone athletes at a very young age now. What are you seeing in the trends in your field, and
Yeah.
how do you kind of mitigate that and not allow that to happen too early in the sport that you're kind of overseeing?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's something I think constantly trying to think about. One thing I'm definitely seeing, it's mostly positive, is there's a lot more structure to
Hmm.
youth sports, which I think is good. But there is that sort of year-round commitment that families might feel pressured toward sort of completing and doing.
Hmm.
And I think that results in early specialization, right? Which
Hmm.
I don't think is a good thing. It probably leads to youth sports being too results driven, where you're focused too much on wins and losses versus actual development. And I think that's one thing I'm seeing primarily that I'd like to steer away from is that early specialization being results driven. That's really not what youth sports should be about. And I really
Hmm.
try to make sure that we're not about that.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Do you, from a coaching perspective, and I'm just not that familiar with it, but are a lot of the coaches experienced with hockey? They have hockey backgrounds. Kind of, can you speak to like the type of people you're
Yeah.
looking to lead the teams and
Yeah.
how that works?
Absolutely. Yeah, for the most part, all of our coaches all have played hockey, and have a hockey background. So when I first started 6 years ago, it was just me. I was the
Hmm.
only professional staff that we had. We now have 12 professional coaches, so that's awesome. They're leading. I have a professional coach leading our Mike program, a professional coach leading our hockey academy program, professional coach leading our Learn to Play program, and then professional coaches scattered across our various teams, which is awesome. And then we're nothing without our volunteer coaches as well. And all of those volunteer coaches, if they're a head coach, they've played hockey and have a hockey background, but we're still also looking for good sports people that want to get involved.
Hmm.
And one thing USA Hockey does a really good job of is coach education. And even if you didn't grow up with a hockey background, but are interested in getting involved, USA Hockey does a really good job of making sure that we're providing outlets and opportunities for volunteers to learn the game and really get involved in coaching. And I'm a big believer in that as well.
Yeah, that's great. Can you just talk a little bit about if a family I feel like I do this a lot with my boys, if they want to try a new sport, or kind of just see if they like something, you offer a summer camp. Is that something that if you were new to the sport or had played it with a different organization, they could come to summer camps? Can you talk to your opportunities available this summer?
Yeah, so we put together 2 camps, and they'll sell out this year. They've sold out the past few years, and they were able to provide opportunities at these camps for players that are very experienced and players that are new to the sport. So absolutely, I would recommend if you're a family looking to get involved. Obviously, we have our Learn to Play, but if you want to get on the ice prior to the fall Learn to Play, our summer camps are great for that. They're Piney Orchard Ice Arena. They're not at the academy because the academy takes their ice out during the summer. Something I'm hopefully working toward them not doing in the future, but they're still doing it.
Hmm.
So our summer camps are at Piney Orchard, the weeks of July 6th and July 20th. And yeah, it's a great opportunity for players of all skill levels and beginners to get their feet wet into hockey.
That's great. Well, this has been really helpful. We will be sure to share all this information with everyone. We always like to finish every podcast with the same question. What is one thing from your childhood sports experience that has stuck with you and still shapes how you approach sports today?
Yeah, it's an awesome question, and it's something that I try to remember when in the role that I'm in, and that's
Mhm,
I don't remember the wins. I don't remember many losses. I remember my coaches and I remember my teammates.
mhm,
So I think that balance is really important to remember, and it sticks with you as you sort of get older. Is the coaches that believed in you and that you learned from, and the teammates that you still have relationships with, and that you're still really close with. Because some of my best friends, I played on the same hockey team as them when I was 5 years old. So that's what I tend to come back to.
yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been such a great conversation. And honestly, I mean, I just think having families hear from you about the program, how it got started, and what's available to them is really helpful. Whether hockey's part of your world or something you've never really considered, I think what stands out is how much intention goes into building it, not just the players, but the experience for the kids. And we really believe that's what it's all about. So thank you again for coming on and sharing your perspective, your journey, and everything you're building with Navy Youth Hockey. It's making a real impact in this community. I hear about it. I'm sure many others do as well. So you're doing a great job. And if you're a parent listening and curious about getting your child involved, we'll make sure to link everything in the show notes so you can learn more. And as always, thank you for being here and for supporting youth sports. We will see you next time. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you, Hope. Appreciate it.